Hey everybody, welcome to a new segment on the Captain Vitus show called Top 10s, where I make a top 10. What else would it be? I'm not reviewing puppies. I should review puppies. Okay, so last night, like many of you, I stayed up pretty late, just past my bedtime at least, to catch the new Guardians of the Galaxy trailer, and wowie did it look good. It also got me thinking about my most anticipated movies for the rest of the year. So I thought, what better way to kick off this new Top 10 segment than with a Top 10 most anticipated movies of the year. Okay, and I know what you're thinking. Ashton, you're supposed to do those in January. And we're in February and you've already missed a whole good movie. I mean, what are you gonna do? And the fact of the matter is, I wasn't a movie critic when that happened, so I want to do it now. And you're gonna sit there and enjoy it, because you're a nice person, Doug. So with all that being said, let's begin. Okay, so coming in at number 10, we have A Million Ways to Die in the West, the new live-action comedy from Seth MacFarlane. Now, I was surprisingly pleased with Ted, so when the news came up that Seth MacFarlane was going to do another live-action comedy, it got my curiosity. But then when I heard it was a Western and Liam Neeson had a role in the movie, it got my attention. See that? That is twice.
Curiosity.
That's twice I've used that Django reference. So since I heard about this movie, we have gotten a trailer, and it made me laugh quite a few times, so I think it's going to be pretty good. And that's why it makes the list at number 10. So at number 9, we're returning to Middle-earth with The Hobbit, There and Back Again. Now, I really loved the first Hobbit movie, and I thought the second one was significantly better. So it got me really hyped to see how the trilogy is going to conclude. Also, we have the fact that Desolation of Smaug ended on a total and complete cliffhanger. And I kind of really want to see how the hang gets uncliffed. Is there a word for that?
Uncliffhanged.
I like it. That. Okay, so at number 8 we have Captain America, the Winter Soldier. Now, I'm really excited for this one for a few reasons, and one of the biggest being, the past two Marvel films we've got, I have not been very impressed with. You know, I really didn't care for Iron Man 3, and honestly, I thought Thor 2 was just okay. Like, I know a lot of people really liked it. Personally, thought it was okay. So this is really that chance for Marvel to really kind of make it up to me. I mean, the movie looks really good, it looks really action-packed, and I don't think there's any way it can disappoint. I mean, they've already signed on the director for this one to do the third Captain America film, so that tells you they have a finished product that they like. And then we have the most important reason, and that's that this movie is one step closer to Avengers 2, and my hype levels are getting bigger and bigger each day for that one. Speaking of superheroes, slinging in at number 7 here is The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Now, honestly, I really like the first Amazing Spider-Man. Like, I realize it's not without its flaws. I mean, a lot of the scenes were cheesy, especially the ending. The score was awful. And it had a lot wrong with it, but I loved Andrew Garfield in the role, and I loved the story, and I thought it was a really fun movie, and I enjoyed my time with it. All that being said, I think this second one has a lot of potential to become a much better movie. And not to mention, to set up a real Spider-Man universe. Also, I really like what Sony is doing to build Spider-Man's universe. Like, I realize a lot of people think there's too many villains in this, but I think it's really a perfect amount because, you know, we have our Avengers universes and stuff. Spider-Man gets left out because he's owned by Sony. So why not put all these villains together, and eventually we're going to lead up to a Sinister Six? Did I say Sticks? And eventually, this is all going to lead into a Sinister Six movie, which 4 or 3, I don't know. But it's fun to think that Spidey is going to have his own universe, and this is going to be the movie to start it. So coming in at number 6 is the new Christopher Nolan film, Interstellar. Now, this movie really is a mystery because I really don't know anything about it except for the fact it's going to have something to do with time travel and that Matthew McConaughey is in it. And honestly, those two things are enough to get me hyped about this movie. Also, we have the fact Christopher Nolan is doing a movie that's not Batman. And don't get me wrong, I love the Batman movies to death. But movies like Memento, Inception, I feel like they're really getting left out in the Christopher Nolan verse. And I'm really excited to see him doing something original and cool again. So coming in at number 5, we have the one and the only X-Men Days of Future Past. I just think this movie has a lot going for it. I love the premise, I really like the trailer, and I really love the fact Wolverine is going to be in it. Because as much as I loved X-Men First Class, and I loved X-Men First Class, my favorite X-Men is Wolverine, and I feel like he's really my biggest reason I like those movies. Like, if you took him out of the original X-Men movies, I wouldn't own them. They would just be movies. X-Men Days of Future Past has all the elements a good superhero movie needs, and I'm very excited for it, and that's why it makes this list. Okay, at number 4 we have The Grand Budapest Hotel from one of my personal favorite directors, Wes Anderson. Now, as I just stated, Wes Anderson is probably in my top 5 favorite directors of all time, and he's in there because all of his movies just leave you with this melancholy feeling that follows you through the week. Like, the entire week you're walking around and you're happy and you're just like, You sound like a bird. And you should stop. No, you don't. In short, he gives you that feeling that only a Wes Anderson movie could give you. And I mean, the last movie he did, Moonrise Kingdom, was my favorite movie of 2012. So that alone picks this movie up a lot, and that's why it's so high on the list. And it stands to mention, the trailer was phenomenal. Like, it looks funny, it looks just incredibly Wes Anderson. It's funny and it's artsy. It's everything you need. Also, and a big reason for my hype is the fact we have Ralph Fiennes in another comedic role, and honestly, I think that's what he's best in. I mean, he does all these Shakespeare movies, and he was Voldemort, but I'll take Harry from In Bruges over all of that. All in all, the movie looks great, and it's Wes Anderson, so what do you expect? It's gonna be great. I mean, he's made, 2 bad movies? They weren't even bad, they were just like, Didn't give me the same feeling. Hey, do you remember why I started this list? Well, it was because of Guardians of the Galaxy, and that's number 3 on this list. Okay, so as I stated before, the trailer for this premiered last night on Jimmy Kimmel, and oh my god, does it look good. I don't even know who these guys are, and I'm incredibly hyped for it. And I do think that's a big thing that's getting me hyped for it, is because we have our Iron Mans, we have our Thors, we have our Captain Americas, we all know these heroes. But then Marvel comes out and goes, we're going to make this movie that none of you have ever heard about. And honestly, that's kind of refreshing to me, because we've been getting those Iron Mans and those Thors since I was a child, since you were children, and we're finally getting an original, well, not original because it's adapted, but an original Marvel movie, and it's exciting. I mean, the entire trailer for this made it look a lot like Star Wars. It had a little Indiana Jones sprinkled in there for good measure, and you just have to make a good sci-fi movie and I'll have my butt in the seat, and I think that's what they've done here. I mean, everything about this movie is just intriguing to me. The plot, the characters, the casting especially. If you told me a few years back that Chris Pratt, Andy from Parks and Rec, was going to become a big movie star and he was going to star in a Marvel superhero movie, I would have called you a liar and a fool. But honestly, the past few movies he's done, everything he's done, he's really proven himself to be a world-class actor, and putting him in a role like Star-Lord, perfect! Like, put him in everything, he's so good, everything is awesome. Also, Bradley Cooper plays Rocket Raccoon in this movie, who is a raccoon with a machine gun. I know what you just did. You just went online and you've already bought your tickets just because of that point I just told you, and that is why Guardians of the Galaxy is at number 3 on my list. Okay, so now it's really coming down to it. Number 2 on my list is Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. Now, I loved Rise of the Planet of the Apes, and I'd say it's probably one of the greatest prequels ever made. Ever. And I realize that's a big statement, but if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. It's good. And now, it's getting a sequel, and holy Jesus, does it look intense. I mean, my God, does the trailer for this look good. You know, I've seen a lot of good trailers, but it's been a while since a trailer came out that gave me such goosebumps, and also the biggest, dumbest grin a child like me could have. Like, literally, the first time I saw this trailer, I was sitting in my seat, I think it was at Wolf of Wall Street, and I was literally sitting there like this. Like, it immediately gets you hyped. The second Caesar goes like, oh. See, I'm so hyped, I'm ruining my video. Also, it stands to point out that I think it's become common knowledge that I think putting Gary Oldman in anything will make your movie better. And if you put Gary Oldman in a Planet of the Apes movie, you already have my ticket. It doesn't even need to be good. The trailer for this could have been like Play-Doh apes. Not even good ones, too. But then you put Gary Oldman in it, and you got my money. It's just really exciting to me to see Gary Oldman just leading this resistance against all these smart apes. It's so cool! While Rise of the Planet of the Apes gave us rebellion, this one is going to give us war. And if that doesn't excite you, then get out of my country.
No!
Okay, here it is, folks, my number one anticipated movie of the year. With all of these great films coming out, I couldn't think of one better movie to put before the one, the only, Godzilla. Okay, so now, the first time Hollywood sat there and said, hey, let's let the Americans try a Godzilla movie. What could go wrong? Everything did. I mean, we got a crappy, campy, funny, it shouldn't have been funny. It's a movie about a giant dinosaur going destroying everything, and you're like, oh, let's get Ferris Bueller! After that, I'd given up hope on a good American-made Godzilla movie. Then, the trailer for this one hit, and it blew my mind out of my head and onto the ground, and now I need to go get it cleaned. Okay, after seeing the trailer for this movie, it just showed me everything a Godzilla movie needs to be. Doesn't need to be a funny, campy flick starring Simba. No. Godzilla is a walking natural disaster. Godzilla is not about, oh look, he's a mother, he's misunderstood. No, he is a monster and he needs to be stopped. Decimated cities, terrified citizens, halo jumps, Walter White. What couldn't get you excited for this movie? It's everything I want in a monster movie, and it looks like it's going to be great. And for once, I can say this Godzilla movie looks like it can stand up to the original. For all those reasons and more, Godzilla makes number one on my list. Hey everybody, thank you for watching my first top 10 list, and hey, if you liked it and you want more, why don't you click that subscribe button down there? I'd really appreciate it, and I know you would too for some reason. And hey, check back on tomorrow. I will have my review for The World God Only Knows. It was supposed to be up a few days ago, but I bought Bravely Default, and I kind of forgot this was a thing. So that happened, and then check back again. I'll have my review. 3 Days to Kill. That's what's coming out, and I'll have that up. And yeah. So, hope you enjoyed this video. Stay classy.